Live, and we are live on Facebook. Hey everyone, it's Morna Haist here, the host of the Revolutionary Woman Community, and I'm joined today by the amazing Shama. Hey love, how you doing?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's amazing. You are so welcome. I can't wait for today's chat, and I'm going to introduce you in a moment, but I just want to remark on I haven't been able to make it outside today, but it is the most beautiful day here on the west coast of British Columbia in Canada. It's a blue sky. It's not raining. I think this is the first time in 2 weeks. What's it like for you? Where are you tuning in from?
I'm in Tucson, Arizona, where it's sunny and beautiful every day. And I get bored, and we haven't had rain in so long that my cactuses are dying.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everywhere. I have 3 acres of desert, and they're all like, just we need rain. Send it our way. Send it our way. I'll send you more sunshine. I'm sick of it.
I love to when you've just started a live video and you get a text message from your husband saying, "Do you want coffee?" Yes, honey, I'd love a coffee. Thank you very much. Okay.
I want one too.
Priorities. Okay, let me give you the introduction that I want to give you, because you're an amazing human, and I'm so thankful that you're joining us today. So, everyone, this is Shama Ma'Osa, and I've known this incredible woman for, it feels like, my entire lifetime and previous lifetimes before that. But actually we met several years ago through the incredible transformational work that Shama was doing in the world and is still doing. And these days, Shama is a premium business development agent, I love that, who supports serious entrepreneurs at any stage of maturity to build rock solid, sustainable and successful businesses without wasting time and money along the way. And I love that. We're going to talk about that today. Her support model is unique. I just love what you're creating, and extremely affordable for the just starting out solopreneur to the established six-figure earner scaling their way up. She calls herself the on-demand second in command. I love it. I love that. And her superpower is fast and hyper-focused, power-driven decision-making. And I love this. And you know, we're going to talk today about firstly what it actually takes to build a successful online business. We're going to talk about some of the practices that we see out there that we know just aren't working, even though everyone's still buying them. And then we're going to tune in and focus on the amazing work that Shama is doing right now, and how you can connect with that work. And then for those of you who are able to stay around, we are going to be answering your questions live. Any question you have about growing a successful service-based online business. And we've already got some questions that have come in, so we'll get to those kind of in the second half. But let's get started, and then I'm going to actually check that we're live in the group, because I haven't had a chance to get there and look. It looks like we are. These days I just carry on because, you know, and then I have to figure out where it actually is live. But as I'm doing that, Shama, do you want to just kick us off with a little bit about your background, how you got into the online industry, and just let's start talking about and answering this question of what does it take? Let's get real on what it takes to build a successful online business.
Okay, well, a little bit. First of all, I did this, 12 plus years ago. I started my first online business because I was working in the corporate world, and I actually got really sick. I'd had my first baby, and I don't know, someone introduced me to the transformational industry, and I was just like, whoa, what? And I got sucked in really fast and found all the shiny objects, and very quickly bought way more programs that I needed to. Not ready for any of them because I didn't know what I was doing, and I sure as heck did not know what my true purpose was. And so I have built now two semi-successful, one very successful online business. I have but the thing is that
we've all built those.
Yeah. But the other thing is that I managed to also be a full-time stay-at-home mom that put my family first the whole way through. And that was really always what my why was, right? I wasn't in this place always in my mind, oh, I want to have multi-million dollar company. That wasn't always like my vision. It was, I want to be here for my kids. I want to take them to school. I want to pick them up. I want to be, and I've done that. My oldest is 15 now, and they've never even known that that I bring in money, because they're always first. And so that's why I did it, which was amazing. And along the way, I learned that you have to learn. There's so much to learn. There's so much out there, especially now. I mean, when I started, there was a few big superstars in the industry, and they were teaching really good stuff. Well, I couldn't afford to invest in their big money programs. So I went to work for them and learn from the inside. And
mic drop. Yeah, that's the way to do it.
That's the way to do it, man. And I learned a lot. And so, that was many years ago. And I've since been on several leadership teams of some of the, the really successful multi 7 and 8 figure businesses. And I've seen what works. I've seen what doesn't work. I feel like I've seen it all. And prior to all of this, I have an MBA. I was a business consultant for more brick and mortar. So I have a ton of business experience, and I've seen success and I've seen failures and so forth and so on. But what I really liked about this piece is it wasn't all about money ever for me. It was how can I figure out what my gifts are? Like, truly, what are my gifts? What am I better at? But, more so than anyone else in the world. And how can I combine them all to make, to be like a global game changer somehow? What will my footprint be for the collective through my ideal clients, through the clients that I serve? And it's changed over the years. And well, I've been a breath worker, and I'm an intuitive. I've been in the spiritual realm. I've done that. I've had this beautiful platform for mothers and parenting, raising happy. And I've shifted, and now my needs are different. So I've closed the doors to businesses before. And today I'm totally recreating a whole new business to fit my exact needs right now. And with all of these things that are changing, it's like, how can I do that? I don't want to imitate anyone. I've been down that road where if I just follow someone's system and I imitate them and I act like them, then it'll work. That doesn't work at all. So and then the difference between imitation and what is it? I don't know. I finally come up with my unique stuff, and that's where I'm at. And that's what I'm doing now. And that's what I teach.
I mean, okay, we could riff off. You just dropped some juice there in the last little bit, and it's amazing. And I want to riff off a couple of things. But before I get there, I just want to say hi to Shuhada, who's tuning in from Malaysia, and it must be super early in the morning there. Yeah, thank you so much for getting up and to join us. And I can see some other folks joining us live as well. So if you're here live, let us know who you are and where you're tuning in from. And if anything comes up for you, if you've got any questions along the way or observations, then drop them in the chat, and we'll get there. Hey, Kim, it's awesome to see you. So, and also during that, the aforementioned coffee got delivered. So it's cool. It came in by magic because the whole kind of hand, anyway. So firstly, I love your story so much. In fact, it mirrors mine in so many different ways. And I think for folks like us, I'll just speak for myself and see whether this resonates with you. The work we're doing in the world is it's an ongoing evolution and thread of our purpose, right? Of our reason for being here. And we're kind of discovering and rediscovering and playing and experimenting in all of these different places, right? And there are so many, as you say. I mean, it's right. Back in the day when I started my business, it was in this weird place called the physical world, where people kind of gather together.
What is that?
What is that? I don't know what that is. Yeah, like now more than ever, I'm not even sure where that world is. But I started my workshop and my coaching business in the physical world, in the real world. Not that this isn't the real world. This is a very, very real world. I need to find better ways of delineating between this. And I wasn't, I did my business training, I did some certifications and things like that, but I wasn't bombarded with this enormous, there was really nothing on the internet telling me what to do at that point. This is like 18 years ago. I think the internet was around. It was, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. Maybe not smartphones.
I wasn't really
it was.
that much 18 years ago.
I don't know. But I certainly wasn't hanging around on Facebook. I certainly wasn't being bombarded by all of this marketing from the online industry. I just went about and I'm so glad for that experience because it helped me build some basic stuff, right? And I know we're going to sort of move into talking about the reality of building a business, but before we get there, sort of now that we're on the subject, when I moved to North America in 2016 and kind of left behind that successful business that I'd really built to the stage where you don't have to do so much marketing because people know who you are and all of that stuff. And then I arrived in the States and I was like, oh, I'm no one. Nobody knows me or cares or whatever. Not that I wasn't still doing amazing work, but in terms of being able to scale my work, I couldn't see how to do it. So that was when I really started diving into this online world, and where I kind of started, I guess, getting into the stream of the fire hose, it feels like, of tactics and strategies and courses to take and gurus kind of telling me, you do this or do that. If you don't do this, you won't have a successful business. Follow the 6-step system. If you don't have this thing, forget it.
Right.
And even as a fairly seasoned person at that point, I was really susceptible to it. And I have to say, I wasted a crap ton of money.
Do you want to know how much I've wasted? I'm going to be.
Oh, we're gonna go there. We're gonna go full disclosure.
I have spent over $200,000. Yeah, and everyone I know that's a normal number.
Yeah. I think mine's not quite there, but maybe because I was late to the party. But yeah, it's definitely in the 6 figures of things that I've invested in, and I don't want to diss all of those things completely because, of course, we all know that each of those things we've done has given, right?
Bonus, absolutely. Yeah,
bonus.
I wouldn't change it for the world. I think it's amazing. Yeah. I just think there's a different way that doesn't have to bankrupt you, make you feel a ton of shame, or put you in massive debt that you have to clamber out of.
Oh, let's talk about shame for a second, because I see so much shame-based marketing in the online space.
Gosh, yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I see the damage it does firsthand. People, losing a lot of money, people not being able to create successful businesses, people investing in things way, way earlier than is needed.
Way too soon from where they're at. Yeah.
Way too soon.
All of this stuff is like, you have to expand into it, right? Like I'm watching people just be like, ooh, that's the best coach. I know it. I'm going to spend 20 grand and I'm going to come out of it knowing everything. And it's like, it's just too much, because there's no okay, these levels of expansion into your purpose so that prosperity can flow. It's just, it's like this bypassing that's happening. And this is real work. I believe that from an actual spiritual perspective, that those of us that are doing this kind of work, it's divine work in a way, making and you can't just bypass through it. It just doesn't. That, I think, is what doesn't work.
I agree. And especially, certainly if you're aiming to build a transaction-based business where you're selling a widget, or you're selling a simple product, or you're selling a $5 solution to someone's product, then go for it. Build
that's
your
totally
to
different.
the kingdom. Completely different. If you're in the true transformation world where you're really working at the edge of what's possible, then absolutely it's an expansion. It's like breathing, and right. So I think too, what I'd like to talk about as well is just the integrity gap for me, and and integrity is a huge part of my business. I really don't want anyone working with me who's a hostage, firstly, who's been who's
I love that.
right.
So
I don't want hostages in my world. I
true.
want people who have made a genuine yes, a genuine connection. And also, as someone, I've been in the adult development world for a really, really long time. And over that time, as I know you're in the same place, we know who we can get results with and who we can't. Like, we know what level someone needs to be at before they're working with us, or where we need to take them on the journey with us. And I see so much mismatch in the transformation industry, especially the big names are pulling in so many people into their programs. And of course, it's going to work for, I don't know, 10% of the people who are maybe it's going to work for 80%. I don't want to diss everything that everyone's doing, because there are some amazing, amazing, effective programs out there. But there's also a lot of crap. And there's also a lot of mismatch, I think, where people are happy to take your money, whether it's going to work or not. And if it doesn't work, it's you.
That's right. And that's where the shame comes in too. And you said yes, but you didn't show up in the right way, or it's not your time. There's, I've heard it all. I could really take a long time talking about that one piece alone.
Well, we can talk about it a little bit. We've got time. We got a whole hour here potentially. I mean, what it's that one's a really interesting one. It's curious, and I was just talking about this with a client actually the other day about how in the physical world, I'm going to call it, if you sign a contract at the gym, at your gymnasium, for example, or if somebody knocks on your door and you buy something from a door-to-door salesperson, or someone's in your home, there's a 7-day escape clause on those kinds of contracts, because we know what kind of high pressure situations those situations can be. And I see so much of that as well in the online world, where that high pressure close, if you don't, and then if there's any dissonance afterwards, if there's any post purchase dissonance, like, oh my God, I really didn't mean to do that, I was swept away in the moment, I can't afford it, it's not right for me, then the response usually from the company is, well, you need to go with that decision that you made in that moment. It's your blocks, it's your, it's you. It's not the program or whatever. And Kim's just writing, please talk about shame. It's real and it's rampant.
Does she want to give an example? And then we can. Well,
we could give some examples. But I mean, I could give some examples from my own personal experience of being sold to by folks who are really master marketers. Now, I think marketing, as in sales, is something we can use for good and less than good. And I think that, I guess so often for me, I find a disconnect between what I've been sold and the reality of what it is. And then instead of that disconnection being about the program, it's typically about me. I'm the one who ends up feeling shame because I spent money on something that I thought was really, 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 really important, but it turns out that it wasn't really, really important.
Mm-hmm.
And yet,
go ahead.
Well, and yet again, I'm just thinking about some of the conversations I had with my husband in the early days, like, oh, this is the thing that's really going to help propel the business. I need to invest in it. And it turns out it wasn't. And I don't want to spoiler alert if I go to the point where it's actually similar in my parenting journey when I have small children, and when my first child was born in Toronto, and I was on my own, and I got all of the parenting books and I read them all and I aligned with the philosophy. And then when she was about 10 months old, I was like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. And I had to then start turning inward and figure out what I actually thought.
Yeah.
And it was the same journey for me in the online world. Once I started letting go all of that and went, okay, well, how did I build my successful business to begin with in New Zealand? How did I do it? Through relationship, through connection, through direct contact, not through some of the tactics that I've been being taught in the online world. And that's when things really started to change for me. So I know I've said a huge amount.
Yeah.
What's coming up for you?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with most of it. Are there specific psychological ways that you can get someone to listen to you in the online world? There's a lot. How do you stand out in the online world, right?
Yeah,
So I don't want to dismiss that there are some real ways,
of
and that
course.
marketing, there's nothing bad or wrong about marketing. And in my opinion, there's not even anything bad or wrong about sales and even like sales
No,
strategy. What ends up happening, though, I think, is because they're so good at it, they're calling in people that want to be what they're selling, but they're not ready yet. And so this is something
that's
that
it. That's it.
I've seen a lot, is that you get into a program, especially, I mean, I remember my first program was $3,000. And I was like, it was such a big investment. It was such a big deal, but it was one-on-one. And I actually had real transformation from that experience. Like, nothing to say other than that was my first step in sort of awakening to some of my needs and getting aligned with who I am. And then since then, I have expanded into, where I've been in really big, huge investment type things. And it's like, people get in there and I look around and I'm like, we are all at way different stages. And they say, oh, I'll meet you where you're at. But here's the deal. What I believe to be true in business, it's like a video game. You start here and when you get this level done, you get to advance to the next level and so forth and so on. But it's not really until this part is like really figured out until you can move to the next level. And these programs of, this is coaching, like business coaching, for instance. I mean, there's thousands of programs out there for different types. And I'm only speaking, for instance, to business type programs right now. And it's like they just kind of skim people right through. It's like I see it more in the business coaching than I do in some of the other things. And the business coaches are trying to teach people to, raise your prices, value your worth, da da da. And these people are like green. They don't even know what their business is about yet. Right?
Right.
They're still trying to figure out what their gifts are. And we've got these coaches telling them like, well, your first $10,000 program and figure it out as you go. And there's all these tactics like that. It bankrupts people, it puts them in debt, and then it makes them feel shame that something is wrong with me. I'm not doing something right. And it unravels. And that's why so many people aren't successful in this entrepreneurial world. And I think now more than ever, that I feel like our universe is sort of calling us to do this kind of work. What are your gifts? What is your footprint? How can you help someone else learn what you already know, that you've already been through, in a quick and easy way? And I am not against, charging a lot for your program. I mean, there's people that need that. I mean, I know people that won't. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not against that.
Yeah.
It's just integrity.
It's right. It's integrity. It's finding, for me, again, as a business owner, as a teacher, I want to be doing this. I want to find the people who are ready and who are going to get it. I don't want to be going like this or like this. And, Kim's just writing that some programs are awesome. Absolutely. There's just so much noise. And I think let's pick up on that thread, because I think this really is a beautiful segue into talking about a couple of things, getting real on what it takes. And then if you can start sharing with us, what you're doing, what your antidote to what's not working is, and really what you're working on, would be amazing.
What I'm working on now. So here's what I have learned in being in all of these programs and watching all of, even they're my friends and they're doing it.
Yeah, they're my friends too.
Like, not trying to call my friends out who's doing anything wrong or bad, but I watch the people that like get lost in the programs, right? They've spent all this money. And then because I also help people work around shame and blocks and whatever, I also then have to go work to help heal these pieces where they are in deep shame, not thinking that they're good enough, and so forth and so on. So I've gathered all of my gifts that I have now that I've been growing and working on for, 150 plus years, lifetimes, I guess I should say. But anyway, so this on-demand second in command thing, here's the deal. People start businesses.
Oh, I just love that so much. Hang on. Like, okay, I just want to put a on-demand second in command. And then I want to say something about that after you've obviously told us what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go through a program, you've learned about marketing, you've learned about sales, you've got your certifications, you've got, you're ready to go. The truth of the matter is that most of us, if like, say we're not business coaches, say we're, for instance, I was a health coach, and then, a parenting coach, and people that I met are, in the spiritual world, like they're not really business people. I mean, that's not where their genius is.
Yeah.
So they've taken their business class, and then there's implementing it. And all these questions and all of these doubts come through because of the truth of the matter is, even though you might know how to do it, doing it for yourself is hard, and it takes an extraordinary amount of time. So I don't need to send anybody else through a video series because I work with people who have at least been through one business coaching program. But you can actually connect with me at any time or day. I'm 24/7 with boundaries, of course. Via Voxer, we meet twice a month for short periods of time so that you can say, this is what I want to work on. And then I am the person, as if I were your COO or your COO or your manager, and we banter. You ask me any question you want. If there's a client who wants a refund and you're not sure how to handle it, or if it's bringing up triggers for you, you call me, we talk it through. Well, we talk. And so it's just, I'm always there. I only take a certain amount of businesses on. But the truth is that you need a team to do this stuff well.
Yes.
But you can't afford a team because you're just starting this business.
Well, so and also I just want to jump in there, because even if you hire a team, with respect, most people ain't able to hire you. You're going to get someone who might be in the same boat as you, even if you're trying to hire in some of these skills. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, this is another arm of my program is about the VAs that are available right now. That's a whole nother, everyone thinks they can be a VA, but then you go and you're like, they don't know how to do anything, or they say, I can learn fast. And I'm like, well, I don't want to pay for you to learn.
I can learn too. Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah. So anyway, I have a whole nother arm of that that's strictly for matching the right VAs with people. So basically my on-demand second in command is I am an expert in the business. At this point, I know I'm an expert. I know what works and what doesn't work. And I'm also an intuitive, so I can take it from an intuitive perspective. I know when blocks are coming through for people, like very specifically towards their business. And so I take all of that and I'm there for you. There's no, it's just, I got all eyes on your business all the time, and it's fractionalized. So I take on about 5 businesses at a time, and I'm all yours. And we talk as much as you need me to talk, with boundaries. I don't even want to go through all of that, but I'm that person. I'm that second in command that you can take what you've learned and you can ask as many questions as you need until you get it right. And you're not guessing like, oh, did I do that right? Is this good?
Yeah. Yeah.
It just saves so much time. And because it's fractionalized and you're sharing me with a lot of other businesses, it's super affordable. There's no way. I mean, my first level is like $1,000 a month, and you can get partial team with that too. I have a VA, I have a graphic designer, I have my people that I've worked with forever that I know are amazing. And if you need to get something done, we get it done together. So
okay. Oh, I mean, okay. So listen, this is amazing. This is such an amazing offer. You know, and I want to reflect on it through a couple of different lenses, just thinking through, you know, before I had a business and even alongside my business, I've been in leadership roles at the same time. I've been the, you know, president of organizations and executive director and whatnot. I always had a 2IC, always. And I've been that 2IC, you know, as well. And as a business manager of other training organizations and pieces like that, it's such a pivotal role. I'm just thinking, you know, for myself about how many decisions I make on a daily basis and how many times one of those decisions might circle around in my head for a couple of weeks before I get there with it. Or just having that person, you know, who can say, yeah, that's it, do it. Just do it. Get it done. The go person. Yeah, yes, do it. And I think that's such an integral part of creating that momentum and moving forward, and also, you know, that sense making of all the learning someone's done, of like, yeah, okay, it's time to bring in that piece that you learned from that thing, because that's often how it ends up, right? We learn all of these different things, but they don't actually unfold in a 6-step process. You're bringing in what's needed at the next level, right? Like,
that's right. And your program's over. You might have your Facebook group still. Right. And you know, you get a quick little answer, but like, here's the truth is like, you could have this amazing program that you're in and you're learning about sales and lead generation, and you're still like trying to figure out your power statement. Who do you serve and why, and what's your big why, and how's that going to impact the collective in the future? You know, these really important things that you need to know inside every cell of your body before you can even go and get all your leads and have these sales calls and all this stuff, right? And that part alone takes so much time. And coaches, you know, maybe you have a one-on-one coach, but it might change, it might evolve, and you want to go back to it. So anyway, I'm that person that's there. I'm that person that's, when we agreed that you wanted to get something done, that I'm actually like, so where is it? Let me look at it. You didn't post it today. Why, you know, like, or you posted this today. I would love to give you some feedback on it, right? Like, you did a really great job. Here is some other things that you could do that I'm noticing, because I know the things.
That's it. And I just, you know, before we move into the next piece, I really want to give you some props, because I know this to be true for sure about you. And, you know, and it's similar to me in a different lens, in a different way. When you've done something for so long, when you've been around so many different experiences, it's so much easier. You've got the ability to cut through the noise for someone, to just really cut through to the thing that's important for them and go, this is the thing to focus on. This is the thing that's going to get you results. This is the thing
pull you back and be like, don't, tiny objects.
Yeah,
stay away.
That's right. And you know, and there's that kind of strategy muscle, I think, that we develop over the many years of you know, of being in that instinct, that intuition of what the right, you know, what the right next thing is to do. And I'm wondering, you know, we're into kind of the next 30 minutes, which is where I'd love to answer some folks' questions. But before we get to that, and if you do have a question, if you've got a question for me or Shama, then write it in the chat. And we've already got some questions that were asked earlier. You can ask us anything about building your online business. Do you want to share with us at any level that makes sense, your 4 pillars?
Yeah, I think, so I'm doing a workshop next month called Reclaim Your what's the name of it? Reclaim Your Heart-Centered Connection to Humanity Through Your Business. And because I think sometimes we get really lost when we're wanting to create this business in how much money we're going to make, if we're doing all of the marketing right, that we've kind of lost like the reason why we're, you know, this purpose and prosperity thing that's supposed to be aligned. And so I came up with these 4 pillars of connection to humanity. And it's really going back to the basics, because I feel very much so that we've gotten lost in hiding behind technology and all of the things that can support us. And so the first pillar is aligned authenticity. And what I think word has been used a lot, and a lot of people don't even know what the hell authenticity is anymore. But it's really figuring out, again, I've said it many times, like not just your why for your ideal client, or not just your why for your family, but your why in this bigger, grander way. How are you actually creating a footprint for the collective, for consciousness, for your purpose? Like, what is that all about? And stop trying to duplicate. Go back to listening inside. You might need to talk to someone, to figure out, just to hold the mirror for you so that you can know, but we've forgotten how to listen.
Yeah.
And so that's my big thing that I've been teaching for many, many, many years, is the listening, the inner listening and the inner knowing. And people take us out of that, especially in this industry. So easily they can tell us what's right for us or wrong for us. So that's number one, is the authenticity piece is really self-connection, and knowing that you are creating something that is your distinguished work.
Yes.
That is not imitation. It's not duplication. It doesn't mean you cannot learn from other people, but you learn from other people and then you bring it back to self. And what is it special about you that others need to learn from you? Because we all have our people. And it's not just your ideal client. It's something special about you, your uniqueness.
Yeah.
And we forget what is our uniqueness. What is that one thing that you do better than anybody else on the planet? And sometimes we don't know. So I feel like until we know what that is, it's really hard to build your business out until you know that one thing. And that's like that's work. That's real inner work.
Oh, it is. Whew, I mean, man, I just feel like we could talk all night with this, all afternoon, because it's certainly, it's okay. Too much.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Then the second one is the humble commitment to your clients. And that humble commitment to your clients is being in service fully to the greater good and your client itself. And if that sometimes means that it is true, people sign up for stuff and then the next day the buyer's remorse comes from being scared, or someone has told them they're being stupid or shamed them for trying to better themselves, something along those lines, that you can go in and be a fierce advocate for their why. And if they're like, but my belief is that if they change their mind, you also have to allow them to say no. And that doesn't happen anymore.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that.
You have to allow them, and then you can create an offer that maybe is like, well, maybe we just do this one little piece.
Yes.
Right? That's your very, very next step. So people get like the dollar signs. Oh, you put a deposit down and then you don't get your money back. And it's all this like big business thing. And it's like, and maybe that person's little soul wants this really bad. And that's true. But the bigness of it, they're not ready for that big expansion. So how are you truly going to be in service to support them for the very little next step that might really allow them to go into the big thing? So allow people to say no. I mean, that's something that's really important, in a beautiful, honoring way, where you're still committed to them and you're still committed to their outcome and you're still committed to the greater good. And boundaries.
And can I just before we go to the third one, I just want to pick up on that one, because if you're in your body, if you're really listening to the person that's communicating with you about their yes or their no, you know where it's coming from. You know if it's they really, the program is fantastic for them and it's a little bit of wobbles. You know if it's that, or you know if it's, okay, this really isn't right, we need to go to the next step or something else. Like, I think if we're really in tune and listening, we can discern that. If we're truly interested in transformation rather than transaction.
Yeah. And I think that even if you know that this is like the perfect program for someone, they might not be fully ready for the big of it yet.
Well, that's what I mean. I think, being able to tune into where it's coming from at their end,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But
Like,
that's also, yeah, not
I
everybody's.
mean, that's not everyone can do that, for sure.
No,
For
no.
sure, for sure. So, okay, before we get to number 3, I love these, by the way. Shuhada's just saying, I've been in my biz for many years in the physical world, like Morna said, but getting into online world made me feel like I'm a new schoolgirl. Yeah.
I'm what?
A new schoolgirl, a new
Oh,
schoolgirl, a new girl at
yeah.
school. Yeah. Yeah. And have I joined the right school? Yeah. Okay. I love that. So what's number 3?
The next one is, what did I have these fun little names for it. Let's see, what did elemental evolution, which is totally getting back to the basics, around time and money and giving and receiving. And my other thing is like seeing with your ears and hearing with your eyes, like understanding time is an illusion. So people get so overworked and overwhelmed in this industry with like feeling like they have to do so much.
Yeah.
And I am here to assure you that you do not. I am working so little right now and making the perfect amount. Like I set the amount of money that I needed to feel really comfortable and safe and can also help and give others. And it's just, we don't have to work ourselves to the bone. And a lot of people that become entrepreneurs are really smart, we're super motivated and whatever, and we just think that you have to have everything perfect. Well, I can tell you right now, I do not have a calendar anymore. I don't even have a real fancy professional email address anymore. I went to my like old Gmail. I don't have a website. I don't have anything. And now I've been in the industry for a long time, but I have none of that. I got rid of all of it. I'm making 10 grand a month and I'm working like very little. And it took me years to get there.
That's right.
That did not happen. I remember the year that I sat on my ass and tried to manifest that without doing anything because I listened to all the, right? Like,
yeah, I know, right?
Being open to receive these things is part of it, but like you still have to work to get there.
Yeah,
right? You have to do the work to get there, but you don't have to overwhelm yourself to the bone.
You
Time
don't.
is an illusion, and you
Time
don't have to spend a lot of money. Money is a free agent that has an energy and a lot. Like, I think we don't realize that you have to like expand into the big whole energy of big investments and a lot of money. Like, it doesn't happen overnight. And if someone is telling you to charge a shit ton of money and you're not ready to receive that, it's not gonna align.
Yeah.
You have to move into that. So
it's so true. It's so true. And before we move on to the fourth one, I think too, so much of that working hard, for me, I guess this is a cliche way of doing it, but I much prefer to work. I call them boundaries of conscious intention in my world. That boundary around what's really important, focus on that, do that work. It doesn't have to take 40 hours a week, 90 minutes or whatever of effort on the thing that's really, really important is way more bang for your buck than 40 hours of this and stuff and here and there and doing all the fancy stuff. If I could give anyone a number one tip right now, if you're just starting out, don't make a fancy website. Don't spend a whole bunch of money on stuff because you don't need any of it to get started.
Nope.
And we'll segue into what people might need in a minute. But what's number 4? Because these are so awesome.
And then the fourth one, impact and interconnectedness. So a long time ago, I had a program called the Ripple Method. It's just really, really understanding this part about everything that you do, everything that you say, everything that you believe, everything has an impact because everything is interconnected, right? So that is a truth. And so when you're joining this world of becoming an online entrepreneur, the things that you don't think you can do, you won't be able to do. Simple. Like, that's just simple. And also understanding that, like, mindset, these things that are traumatic that might give you a false belief that you're a fraud. Like there's all these things that come up when you're setting out to be an entrepreneur, and it's all there for a reason. And don't ignore it, and do not bypass it, and
Because it is the work. It is the journey. Yeah.
Is the journey. That's right. And you're making an impact. The way that you are helping and supporting your clients, even just the slightest bit, is actually impacting the collective. One person at a time. You do not have to help thousands of people and millions of people. Like maybe that's your journey. Maybe that is what you are supposed to do. But like, please start small first and just realize how much of an impact you are making just by showing up every day with your message and what's true for you. Like, what is your truth? Because if you're trying to copy someone else, it's not your truth. It's someone else's truth. So get in there and figure out what your truth is, what your message is. And that is the impact. And that is and that is what I feel like we need right now for this, for the global conscious collective, is each of us to be so mindful and just mindful and with intention. Oh. And know that even if we're not these big, crazy, successful entrepreneurs right out of the gate, we're still making an impact. We're still changing lives all over the world. Yes. And I need to actually get a proper mic that I can just drop during these interviews, because I mean, everything you just said is unbelievable and so true. And I think for me, the question that I've been seeking to answer, and then we're going to move into answering some questions, because we've got about 15 minutes left. So we're going to rapid fire through these questions. Okay. When we get to them, it's going to be a quick fire round. Yeah. Is that now I need to come back to myself and find where I was at. The thread of my work over the years has been, how do we create a world that works? But here's the thing. That starts with us. It's our interior condition. It's our own interior condition. And if we're like, as you've said throughout this whole time we've been chatting, if we're bypassing that ourselves, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a leader watching this, anyone who's watching this, if we're bypassing ourselves, we're bypassing the real work. We're bypassing our impact. We're bypassing what it is we're really here to do. If each of us on the planet was following that inner journey and honoring it and doing the work in that way, the entire planet would transform immediately. I mean, we would live in a completely different planet. Absolutely. 100%. Right? Well said. So mic drop. Okay, let's. I'm going to ask you at the end to let us know how folks can get in touch with you and find out more about hanging out with you as their second in command on demand, because that is just the coolest. Let's get to the questions, and we're gonna rapid fire round. Okay, number one, and we can answer these together. What are the top 3 things to focus on when building an online business? Building relationships with people. Yep. Knowing your truth, like what impact, like what are you really here to do? I would say, like, knowing that in your bones, like being so crystal clear, it's not even funny, so that everything that comes out of your mouth, every single message that comes out of you is like, it feels like it's being channeled, because it probably is, because you're so in alignment with what you're doing. And the way that you show up and communicate, like you have to get out there. You have to, I mean, trust me, I don't love to do videos and stuff, but I do feel that these platforms are gifts where we can just share parts of ourselves. And it doesn't have to be videos, even if it's just an image, but get something out there like as often as possible and build relationships. If people are commenting on your stuff, send them a message and say, hi. Who are you? What are you doing? Like, I don't think that we even need ads and funnels and all this stuff that's like super high level. Yeah. But in the beginning, man, it is just about I added 3,000 new friends because I wanted a whole new pool of people. And then I delete them when I realize that they do not resonate. But I'm asking every single person, like, what are you up to in the world? What do you do? How can we support each other? How do we get to know each other? Why else? I mean, and I can't believe, yeah.
Okay. So I'll just riff off that, because look, the interesting thing is that after I spent all of that money, when I was in transitioning online and learning all the stuff that turns out I kind of already knew, but just in a different format, right? It's like, how many times I showed up to something and went, oh man, I should be sitting at the front of the room, not sitting in this seat. But whatevs, I met some of the most beautiful people that I've known on the planet, like you, for example, through those experiences. So, hey, I can't regret anything that I did. No regrets for any of us. No shame, no regrets. It's all part of our learning journey. I would say the top 3 things too, because when I actually sat down and said, okay, this is what I'm doing, learning from this other stuff's not working. How did I originally build my business? It was through relationships. It was through connecting to people. And it was just through noticing the problems they had. Just noticing the problems of the people around me, just noticing those. And, I developed my first workshop based on that, offered it to those people who I'd been building relationships with. And that's how it all started. There was no funnel. There was no website. There was no ad. There was no nothing, actually. In fact, I kind of figured it out. It was my very first workshop, like 18 years ago or whatever now. And I did the advertisement. And actually, this is the other thing. The other thing I would focus on is sometimes you just need to put stuff out there and see what happens with it, right?
Okay, that's the best piece of advice. Just do it, and then self-correct as you go. Learn as you go, but you got to just do it. You got to just take it and go fast.
And learn in a particular way, like learn, as you've been saying throughout, by tuning into how it feels. Is this good? Is it right? Is it working? Is it not? Those pieces. So, okay, those are the 3 things. You said some stuff. I said some stuff.
And powerful decisions, man. That's my last one. Just make powerful decisions for yourself every day, every minute. Just do it.
Just do it. And none of these things actually involved a whole bunch of things that, like getting a certification, not that those things aren't important, but oftentimes they're not the place to start. Okay, second, what's the most effective way to reach more of your ideal client? Are ads a good starting point?
My opinion, no, they're not. They're not a good starting point. When you know exactly what you do and who you want to serve and who you can serve best, go to the groups that are where those people live and build relationships. So go into a group, hang out in that group, now don't try and get people from the group, right? Or whatever, but you can add them as friends. I add a couple hundred people a day. And then, there's ways to make it easy, like with, there's some different programs on Facebook and so forth that you can, add people and then send an automatic message or whatever. But just make your bubbles that you live in full of the people that you resonate with. And then those people will know people. And don't lead with, hey, this is my business. Lead with the relationship. And then when you find out what they do and what they're up to, and then you share what you do, and it's a relationship that has a couple of back and forth, you can ask them, hey, I'd love to teach you, or talk to you and find out if there's a way that I can help you or not. And if not, maybe I know someone, or maybe you know someone. And also I'd really love, maybe what they have is going to help you in some way. I had that yesterday. I had a discovery call, and it was it totally turned. I was like, wait, I actually need what you have. Okay, great. Tell me everything.
Right, exactly. And I think that sometimes in the land of funnels and advertisements and this and that, I've been in some programs where the advice is to build your program in the background, get everything perfect. Some people are beavering away at these things for a year before they've talked to any actual person about what they're creating. And it can feel like real important. It can feel like real important work, right? I'm busy building my business, da, da, da. But unfortunately, you're not. And I think that we have to develop the muscle to have personal connection. I know that can be really challenging for people.
Ask people what they need, what's struggling, what are they struggling with? Yeah.
And look, just think about it as a real life thing. If you walked up to someone, you're just meeting them, you're not you're not actually giving your elevator pitch. Like, come on, no one's doing that. You're having a chit chat, right? You're not in the second sentence going, hey, would you like to get on a call with me? I have something to sell to you, right? You know, I think we've got
And
to
that's repulsive to most people at this point. It's just simply
it's you know, I get so many messages on LinkedIn that are like that. Someone connects with me, and especially people who are offering things to coaches, and then the next message is they obviously haven't looked at my profile, they don't know who they're speaking to, and they've got some solution to a problem that frankly I don't actually have firstly.
Yeah,
And
nothing's more repulsive than that.
nothing's more repulsive than that. And I think that one of the reasons maybe people aren't doing it is because they think it's going to be time consuming. But the thing is, it's way more valuable. It's like me, you know, I've got a relatively small group here on Facebook, but this is a small and mighty group. You do not need thousands of people in your Facebook groups or your whatevers or on your list to have a thriving business. You just need really quality connections, and cultivate those quality connections, and then ask them if they'd like to work with you, like you're saying, and vice versa. And I think we also have to, and then as females, we're also creating our own economy as we do this. Like, we're actually bypassing the global community, and we're, you know, it's just amazing. Okay, we've got another 5 minutes, so I want to leap to the next question, potentially the last question, unless anyone else posts any through. And this one's about LinkedIn. And I can kick off on this one because I know a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead. I don't use LinkedIn right now.
Okay. How about LinkedIn to build a customer base? I think it's a phenomenal platform. I think you need to know who your audience is. I think you need to know who you're speaking to, where your customers are. If your customers are on LinkedIn, and for many of us, they will be on LinkedIn, especially if you're, you know, if you want to work with founders or CEO or business leaders, or you know, most people are going to have a LinkedIn profile on that platform, and it's for the most part, I think a platform where people expect to be communicated with, people expect to get messages of connection, people expect to be exposed to what you're doing, and it's a great platform for video. So I think, again, there's no blanket yes or no to any of these questions. LinkedIn's going to be good for you if it's going to be good for you. So get on the platform, experiment with it, see who's there, start searching, see if your customers are there. And for example, with me, I've got some goals as well at the moment of expanding my network, especially in this time when for many of us, we're not at physical real world events. You know, so it can be more challenging. We have to innovate on how we build and grow our networks at this point. And so
personally, I was saying, and I'm actually personally really grateful to, I hate going to networking events, like where I have to show up.
Me too. Sorry, it's such an American thing, to be honest. Yeah, it is. So I mean,
are great.
For example, on LinkedIn, there's a particular group that I've been a leader in, an organization, and I've been going through and personally reaching out to people in that group and saying, hey, do you know the work I'm doing right now? Here's where you can follow it, and here's why it's going to be interesting to you, you know. And it's so easy. And I'll just say too that the way I do it is, and I was just on another call talking about this morning, is I batch it. So right now I have a growth strategy. I'll say what that means because I can see you going, what? Maybe it's my accent.
I thought you heard something else. I thought you said something else.
Could
often do your accent.
Like in batch cooking. Yeah. Batch it. I'll batch it. Right. Yeah. No, you can just put it. So I spend an hour a day on my network. And that's in my calendar. It's a non-negotiable, and that's when I pay attention and do these things. And I would suggest that, or you know, even making it a focus for a week, 1 week a month, where you're doing these activities, and just keep it conversational.
Yeah, that's what these little devices are really great for too, man. You can just like send people messages, like heartfelt messages,
right?
While you're sitting.
I want to give you guys a real life example of this that involved the two of us before we leave and just wrap up here. I got a note from Shama just before Christmas saying, introducing me to a phenomenal woman. And she's like, you know, this woman needs to be in your dojo, would be amazing for your dojo. The aforementioned woman she jumped on a call with me straight away. Boom, she's in my program. It can be as simple as that, because at the end of the day too, when it's right, it's right. It could be
Yeah,
so
because she
super
wasn't
easy. It
right
can
for
be a
my program.
5-minute thing.
Yeah, she wasn't right for what I was doing. So I
Right.
was like, you know what? The second I started talking to her, I was like 100% a Morna, right? So this is how it works.
Right.
And then they
Right.
send me client.
This is how
Yeah,
it
I mean,
works.
this is how it works.
Yeah, well, I mean, just for the folks who are watching and who watch this, there are a few of you that I'm going to be introducing you to Shama, because oh man. Okay, so we need to wrap up. That was amazing. Thank you so much. Like, that was phenomenal, jam-packed with amazing stuff. What I'm going to ask you to do is two things. If you could, maybe afterwards in the chat, if you're able to just type in those 4 pillars for folks, because even just the words that you used in your 4 pillars were so, just afterwards. Okay. And then and let us know how folks can find you.
So like I said, I have none of the fancy stuff right now, just Facebook. If you're on Facebook, I know you are because you're in this group, just friend me and send me a message and say hi. Say hi and introduce yourself and tell me that you saw me on the live, and we'll get on a call, or we'll just get to know each other for a half a minute, and we'll go from there. It's simple. Nothing fancy. I'm not going to drop a calendar link, because guess what? I don't know what my calendar, I cannot hold a calendar anymore because my day changes so frequently that there's just no, I can't even do that anymore. So talk about going back to basics. I am at the most basic everything, and I'm doing exactly what I wanted to do, and how I'm like, it's all falling into place. I'm like, oh my God, I've spent thousands of dollars on websites and all of the things, and none of them right now. It's possible.
Right. I love it. Thank you so much. And Shahada's just saying, I love that. That's what I'm looking for. Introductions, partnerships, and referrals. Well, you're in the right place, love. And I know we're going to hook you up with all kinds of amazing people. Okay. Thanks everyone for joining. I see some comments. Thank you, ladies. Great call. It was amazing. Thank you so much, Shama. And if anyone else has questions, comments, or whatever, feel free to write them in the chat, and I'll tag Shama in, and we'll get those questions answered. Okay, I'm struggling to leave because, I just want to hang around here and
chat thing first, but don't leave yet.
Oh yeah, okay, you're putting everything into the chat. I love it.
Yeah, so we can just talk about how.
Yeah, I love it. In fact, I'm just going to say something about authenticity. From my time being involved with ALIA, Authentic Leadership in Action, we developed some frameworks about this idea of authenticity, because it is overused, and authenticity, and sometimes it's this confused with this idea of just be yourself. But we came to define authenticity as those moments of direct connection to who we really are.
I did not know what authenticity meant until like a few years ago. I was like, what do you mean authenticity? Like, I'm myself. I literally could not figure out what it meant. And then it's because I was looking outside.
Yeah. And it's here. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, Shama. And we'll see you in the love seat. We'll see someone else in the love seat next week. And just one last thing. If anyone who is around right now watching, firstly, I love you. You are my people. And secondly, for folks who want an update on the love seat, I'm going to release the schedule next week for the next 3 months. So if you're waiting on that, that's when that's coming. Okay, everyone. Thank you. I'm actually going to stop the live now. How do I do that? Stop live stream. Bye, everyone.